You know the scene, right? 3 wise men gathered around the manger. It's on a million Christmas cards. It's in nativity sets all over the world. But what if that picture we all know so well is, well, more myth than reality? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on these mysterious visitors and bring the real story out of the shadows and into the light.
So let's just get right into it. Is that classic image of the 3 kings a myth? The answer is, yeah, pretty much. I mean, what if I told you the Bible never says they were kings, and it never says there were 3 of them? Oh, and that they never visited a newborn in a stable? Kind of changes things, doesn't it?
To really see just how different the actual story is, we first have to establish the myth we're all so familiar with, that popular image of the nativity that's become a bedrock of tradition. Go ahead, picture it in your head. It's a really cozy, quiet scene, isn't it? 3 figures in these beautiful, regal robes, holding their precious gifts. They're kneeling before a tiny baby in a manger, with maybe some animals looking on. That's the image, the one we all know, and the one that has shaped this story for centuries.
But here's the thing. That familiar picture, it starts to crumble pretty fast when you actually compare it to the original text. So, let's break this scene down, piece by piece, and see what the story really says.
And this is where the story we think we know just collides with the story as it was actually written down. Tradition gives us 3 kings at the manger with a newborn. The text? It describes wise men, doesn't say how many, visiting a young child in a house. Right off the bat, those are some major differences.
The Gospel of Matthew is incredibly specific here. It says, on coming to the house, they saw the young child. That language alone tells us 2 huge things. First, this isn't happening in a stable, and second, this isn't a newborn. A good bit of time has clearly passed, which means that whole cozy manger scene with the shepherds and the wise men all together, it just doesn't fit the timeline.
Okay, so where did we even get the number 3 from?
Well, it's basically just a logical guess. It comes from the 3 gifts that are mentioned: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Tradition just connected the dots and figured, hey, 1 gift per person. But the text itself, it never gives a number. For all we know, there could have been 2 of them, or 12, or a whole caravan. We just don't know.
All right, so if they weren't kings, and we have no idea how many of them there were, who exactly were these visitors? This is where the story gets way more fascinating, because the original text gives us a very specific answer.
The original Greek word used is magoi. Now, that's where we get our word magi, but it didn't mean king, and it didn't mean magician like pulling a rabbit out of a hat. No, magoi referred to a very well-known and highly respected priestly class from the East, most likely Persia. You should think of them as the top-tier scientists and academic scholars of their day.
And these magoi were a huge deal. They weren't just some guys on a road trip. These were high-ranking advisors who counseled kings, they interpreted dreams, and they were masters of astronomy and astrology, constantly studying the stars for meaning. They were, at their core, seekers of knowledge.
So, once you know who they were, it completely changes how you see their journey. This wasn't a short little trip. This was a serious, scholarly expedition, an undertaking that likely took months, maybe even more than a year, all based on an astronomical event they believed was profoundly important.
And their journey had stages. It wasn't a straight line. It started when they first saw the star, way back in their homeland. That led them, pretty logically, to the capital city, Jerusalem, to ask the current ruler where this new king was supposed to be. It was only after a, let's say, tense meeting with King Herod that they finally followed the star to a specific house.
And that meeting in Jerusalem, it adds a whole layer of political danger to this story. You've got the paranoid King Herod who hears about a newborn king and immediately sees a threat to his power. So he tries to use the magoi as his spies, telling them, hey, let me know where he is so I can worship him too, when what he really wanted was to eliminate a rival.
So, let's bring all these pieces together. It's time to move our understanding of this whole event out of the realm of myth and tradition and see it for what it actually was.
Okay, let's lay it out. The myth gives us 3 kings, a stable, a simple visit. The reality? It gives us an unknown number of scholars, a house, and a long, dangerous, politically charged quest. And look, this isn't just trivia. It matters. It changes the entire focus from royal power acknowledging royalty to scholarship and wisdom seeking truth. It completely corrects the timeline, and it uncovers this incredible story of dedication and risk that the simple Christmas card scene totally misses.
So when we really step out of the shadows, we see the true story. It's not about powerful monarchs making a state visit. It's about brilliant, dedicated scholars on a perilous, life-altering journey, guided by nothing more than their search for truth written in the stars.
And that kind of leaves us with a final, pretty big thought. If a story as famous and beloved as this one has been so widely misunderstood for so long, what other parts of history, what other parts of our own lives, are we only seeing in shadow, just waiting for us to take a closer look?